I just want to welcome everyone to today's webinar. It's actually titled Bringing Hope to Young People, the benefits to business and the benefits to business and society. I'm your host for today. My name is Shola Ali Arawashakila, and I'm a consultant at Lysis Group. Today, we are going to be talking about Hope 2020 and how Lysis and the Damilola Taylor Trust has been working together to bring hope and prospect to young people. Firstly, we'll be showing a short video about Hope 2020, and then we will be speaking to our panel, which will include Richard Taylor, OBE. We'll be speaking to Gary Trousdale, Alex Ali Arawashakila, and lastly, we'll be hearing from Lee Whitehead from Smart Social. So following this, we'll have a Q&A session, and that will give the attendees a chance to ask questions to the panel. So for now, I'll show you the video that we have.
This has been very, very impressive of our hopes with the Damilola Taylor Trust, and we appreciate, commend Lysis for the effort they have given, the opportunity they have given the youth in our community.
In a year where having hope can be a tall order for most of us, Lysis Group, the Damilola Taylor Trust and the Hope 2020 Collective have been working to bring an abundance of hope to young people. Along with Richard Taylor OBE, we'll be looking at some of the work, discussing the challenges and the great opportunities, and letting you know how you can get involved and the benefits it could bring to you and your business. Join us for an inspiring look into how we can bring hope and more to 2020 and far beyond.
Okay, yeah, so we have Richard and Gary here. Hi, both of you. Would you please give me a little bit, or give everyone rather, a little bit of information in terms of what Hope 2020 is, and just how it came to be?
Gary, over to you.
You'd like me to start, Mr. Taylor?
Give it a start.
Basically, the 20th anniversary of the terrible tragedy of Damilola on November the 27th, 2000. This was always going to be quite a poignant year. The Damilola Taylor Trust was set up actually a year after the tragedy in 2001. When Damilola died on the streets of London in 2000, it made front page news all around the world. If you fast forward 20 years and think what's happened to our society, very sadly, it's almost an everyday occurrence now that we have this violence that affects young people. So the Damilola Taylor Trust work has been very much about trying to counter that negative imbalance in society. And its work is primarily focused on helping young people from vulnerable backgrounds into work through pathway training, hence the relationship with Lysis and other organisations like the Co-op. The Co-op, interestingly, are part of the Hope Collective, as are the Metropolitan Police, the London Violence Reduction Unit, the new London Violence Reduction Unit, the Scottish Violence Reduction Unit, which has had great success in tackling violence affecting young people by treating it as a public health crisis and applying that philosophy to the way it goes about its work. We also have the Professional Footballers Association, the PFA. Everybody has seen most recently the wonderful work that Marcus Rashford has done. Well, there are 4,000 members of the Professional Football Association, Marcus being one of them, and they also have connections with all the ex-players who have come before. So it's a very vast organisation in terms of its size and scope. We have the National Housing Associations involved. We have the Rio Ferdinand Foundation that's worked very closely with the Damilola Taylor Trust over the years. Rio was one of the original supporters when the Trust first started in 2001, alongside the local MP, Harriet Harman. And we have Safer London and many, many other organisations that have attached themselves to this group of organisations that we're calling the Hope Collective. And what we're doing is we are running a campaign which celebrates the type of young person Damilola was turning into. It's what I refer to. I spent 4 years running the parliamentary commission into youth violence that led to the formation of a violence reduction unit here in London. And we talked often about the need to reframe the narrative, the need to celebrate young people much more so than they are normally spoken about through the media, through the negative actions of a small minority. As much as it's a huge problem, it's only a small minority that actually participate in negative actions. Young people are far more often the victims of crime than they are perpetrators. And that doesn't necessarily come across in the media, especially where young people from the black community specifically are concerned. So we wanted to address that imbalance. The Damilola Taylor Trust did this with supporting me in setting up a project called the Spirit of London Awards in 2009. And the work that was done and was carried out through those awards effectively underpinned and led to the Parliamentary Commission being set up. So the Parliamentary Commission very much looked at the root causes of youth violence, which most people will understand are poverty and social inequality. So the HOPE campaign is about addressing the imbalance of the way young people are viewed and looked at. And we're asking organisations to share their positive stories of young people on a generic website, which is www.hope2020.uk. And then on December the 7th, which would have been Damilola's 31st birthday this year, we are staging a national Day of Hope. And we're, because of the sheer weight of potential that comes through having developed a partnership cohort like the Hope Collective, we're asking the government if they will acknowledge this effort by supporting the idea of the Day of Hope becoming an annual event. And in doing so and bringing such a huge cohort of organisations together, we think we're making quite a strong commitment towards the change that's needed. So that's the work that we're carrying out through this campaign. And any other questions that you might have about it, I'll be happy to handle later.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary. That was lovely hearing from you. I think we heard a little bit from you before at the event in Brixton, at the screening event in Brixton. And so it was quite good hearing from you again and getting a bit more detail on that. Richard, over to you. If you could kind of give us maybe a brief view of what you hope 2020 and Damilola Taylor Trust will achieve in the, let's say, in the next year, actually.
Well, we've had a lot of activities planned for the 20th anniversary of Damilola's memorial. But going forward with Hope 2020 and the plan to have the annual year birthday memorial for Damilola, which we are hoping the government will approve, for young people to come together every 7th of December. Yeah, so we are looking forward to the government's approval to give us the go-ahead to celebrate young people on an annual basis, which will be on the 7th of every December, which is going to be a national celebration for young people. We are very hopeful and we are very positive, based on collaboration with other organizations like Gary has mentioned. And we have to say thank you also to Lysis for putting this together. We've been working over the period with Lysis. We've been supporting each other in various programs, which has led to success on both sides. Lysis has gained, DTT has gained, from the projects that the project that we set out to assist Lysis to grow in terms of manpower and in terms of financial growth, which they have brought this idea to other organizations that will support the activities. So we are hopefully in the next years ahead, we are hopefully going to continue to work with Lysis to demonstrate the importance of what they have begun, in getting young people, encouraging young people into employment, because not all the organizations around here in the UK have such interest in coming up with such people's need, young people's need, in terms of creating job opportunities for them. You can imagine young people coming out of university and they've been out of uni for 2-3 years without employment. How would that kind of person feel? That's what leads them to negative activities. But we are here and we are hoping that there will be continuity with Lysis program that will enable more young people, to get involved in this project. And that's why there is need for all the businesses to get involved as well. All the businesses around the UK, around London, which will help to demonstrate that young people, there is hope for them. There is hope for young people, and that carries us on to the fact that the Hope 2020 is part of the program, for hope. Okay. I can't hear you again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hi, Richard. No, thank you for that. Obviously, we have Alex here as well, and he will also be speaking about the work that Lysis and Damilola Taylor Trust has done. So he'll be talking about the CCEP program. But I wanted to ask, when, in terms of the work that Gary's doing, and yourself, and the rest of the Damilola Taylor Trust and the Hope 2020 campaign, I wanted to know if there were any. If obviously at the beginning when you came up with the idea and the campaign, you had already identified the organizations that you wished to work with, or that wanted to be involved. Have you at any point, maybe between then and now, have you identified any other needs that maybe young people have, maybe that other companies, specific other companies that you think could get involved and maybe benefit these young people as well?
Yeah, we are looking into support from organizations in the city, in the financial sector, which we are in great demand for, to help, push this forward. The Hope 2020 is to encourage young people into employment and into the future. So we are looking into possibilities of other financial houses in the city to join hands with Lysis to promote this and support the program. The opportunities are so huge for these organizations if they can come up with support, because there are 1,001 young people, who are doing very well, positive thinking minded young people, who have good grades in the uni, those who are positive in the other careers they want to pursue, who are looking for such opportunity. And this cannot be achieved, if we don't get support from financial houses, around London. There are 1,001 of them littered all over the place. So we are appealing, to them to come and support. Because the other organization that Gary has mentioned, there are other plan that we have with them. They are to support young people, like the youth organization. They are there to lift the program, the plan, the project, to the highest level. So they are not committed financially into it. So that's why we want a commitment from organizations around the city to support.
Yeah, can I add, Shola? Obviously, we're online here today with this event to hear maybe a bit from Lee about the development of the Hope Fund, which effectively is being set up alongside the campaign to help support the long-term aims and objectives and goals of the Damilola Taylor Trust. The Hope 2020 campaign is very much about actually helping to affect societal change, which I believe already it's starting to do. So there are two different threads to this. I think it's quite important that we hear from Lee and we start hearing more about the fund that's being set up, which we're hoping Lysis are going to be a part of.
Okay, thank you for that, Richard, and thank you for that, Gary. We'll be hearing from Ali Arul-Shakila next. Alex is a current employee at Lysis, and Alex, he's a graduate essentially from the DTT CCPP program, and he just wants to share his experience. Alex, if you could please introduce yourself and tell us how you came to find out about the Damilola Taylor Trust project and the CPP. Double C, double P.
Hi, my name is Alex Ali Arul-Shakila. So I've been working with Lysis for 3 years now. I think just touched the 3-year anniversary, and it's been an amazing journey so far. And how I actually got involved with working for Lysis was via the Damilola Taylor Trust, doing the City Careers Pathway program. So Huddle, a team of called Huddle, a third party, reached out to me and showed me this opportunity, and that is exactly what I saw. So a great opportunity for me to leave the current job that I was doing, which wasn't really getting me to the place I wanted to get to. And I saw the opportunity, and I thought I'm going to take on the 2-month internship and just make most of it, get my foot in the door in the financial industry, and see where it can take me. And honestly, it's the best decision I've made, and I would not have been able to make this decision if it wasn't for the City Careers Pathway program being available, which was hosted by the Damilola Taylor Trust. And within the 3 years I've been with Lysis, I've seen growth within myself. I've done various roles where it's enabled me to gain many skills and knowledge in different departments. And I remember being a student of the City Careers Pathway program, and then from being a student actually gaining a job with Lysis, and it's been a great job. And then from there, I've actually now been able to pass on the torch and encourage other young people into doing the City Careers Pathway program. And it was amazing. It was amazing seeing young people that are really intrigued and really wanting to get into, working in the city. But it's very unfortunate that the opportunity is very limited. And, I really do urge for other big organizations such as Barclays or Citigroup or BlackRock to, get involved in these City Career Pathway programs which the Damilola Taylor Trust is doing, because looking at what they have done for myself and how much it's inspired me and enabled me to help others, imagine if they were to get involved and bring a lot more young people who could do what I've been able to do and encourage other people and just, you know, have that knock-on effect and, you know, help society reduce the crime, more employment for people from, let's say, less privileged backgrounds or minorities as well. So it's a really great opportunity. It's a really great project that the Damilola Taylor Trust is doing, and I'm so grateful for it. And you know, I work closely with them, and I love it. It's just an amazing thing that's going on right now. Hope that's covered a bit.
Oh no, definitely covered quite a bit. I wanted to, without giving too much background, I'm aware that so before you had come over to Lysis, you had just been in employment. Had you had university, or had you done any other types of internships?
So I was currently working as security in a car park. It wasn't my ideal job. I don't actually have any degree. I don't even have college, actually. And, you know, a lot of people do think these are the necessities in order to be qualified to working in the financial industry or working in the city. But myself, I actually do not hold a background in financial industries, nor do I have a degree or even college qualifications. So, yeah.
Okay. So in terms of when you were over at Lysis, or when you started at Lysis, how did you, obviously you hadn't had much experience in terms of, you know, what it is that you do now. How did you find the support from both Damilola Taylor Trust and Lysis? How was it essentially working and adapting in that space?
So I've had support from both ends. With the Damilola Taylor Trust, they, you know, gave me the confidence, you know, encouragement to, you know, really try and just put yourself out there and go forward. And then with Lysis Group, they do a mentoring scheme where, you know, they make sure they give you baby steps into, you know, making you understand what it is that you want to gain from work with Lysis and how you can get there. So they're very, very supportive. I remember from the beginning, they said they were like a family. I didn't believe it. But honestly, now that I'm working there for 3 years, I can honestly say we are like a family. And, you know, if one person's down, we all, you know, do what it takes to bring that person up. And, you know, effectively, we just all support each other.
Okay. What would you say in terms of, obviously you are a graduate, like I said, you're a graduate who has gained employment. And what would you say to those other organizations? I know you've said, you know, you need to have programs like City, Black. You've mentioned a couple of big companies. And if they did get involved, at Lysis, we had mentoring, and then we had work experience, and we had internship, and then there was deployment. Do you think that that thing would work in other organizations? The same thing?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Lysis is so to say, a medium-sized organization. It's not that many people. If they've been able to take me along, and, you know, I'm the product, and I'm, you know, I would like to say I'm a positive product of what they have done with me by doing the internship. If other organizations that are larger, that, you know, have more facilities, are able to take on more people, then surely more people will be off the street in employment, and those people will be able to have their own testimonial to other individuals and show them, look, if I'm able to, you know, change myself and develop myself working for these companies, surely you can. Opportunity is there. So, but for other people to see the opportunity and for them to have that opportunity, we do need these other big organizations such as, you know, like I said, City Group or BlackRock, to get involved with things like the Damilola Taylor Trust and, you know, host City Careers pathway programs.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. We really appreciate you sharing your experience with us.
It's been a pleasure, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, and we wish you all the best with Lysis. I'm sure your work and your good work will continue.
Definitely.
Okay, so finally on our panel, we have Lee Whitehead. So Lee works for Smart Social, right? nod for me, Uzni. Thank you. For Smart Social, and he's working on a fund, the Hope 2020 fund, that will essentially help to support the great initiatives that will be undertaken by Hope 2020. So he's going to share a little bit about that for us. Lee, please take the floor.
Thank you, Shola. Alex, that was great. I love that explanation. What did you say? More people into jobs and having hope. That is what it's all about. It's about taking people who can be the best employees, giving them some support, taking them through the steps of a career pathway and getting them into the biggest sector of employment in London. So, you know, Alex is a living embodiment of what has been achieved through the encouragement, confidence, hope giving of organisations like the Damilola Taylor Trust, and then through the Lysis programme finding themselves available to the finance and tech companies. Of course, as you say, Alex, we need to do more of this. Young people from disadvantaged backgrounds need to have these opportunities. The terrible coronavirus and COVID implications of the last 6 months and continuing into 21 will make it more and more difficult for many people, particularly young people, who will be disproportionately affected. So, working alongside the campaign that Gary and Richard have talked about, what we have done is set up a fund. This fund can be contributed by donors, it can be contributed by business. The business contributions will be directly used to fund more programs that somebody like Alex has benefited from. We want to do this in league with Lysis. We want to do this in league with city companies who are offering the opportunity for people to come and join them. With the support of Damilola Taylor Trust, they move into that sort of work that brings them forward, it gives them hope. So quite simply, let me tell you a bit about the fund, okay? The campaign supports the fund, and obviously you've heard about that. The fund is an opportunity to give to a new youth system that looks at how we can help young people, mainly in the age of 25, by providing hope and support to thrive, to seek training, to get into employment. With the Damilola Taylor Trust charity, we're raising funds to level up what young people need going forward into 21. In actual fact, our fund looks ahead for 5 to 10 years. We're seeking to raise funds into this legacy that takes forward the hope that Damilola Taylor directly himself talked about prior to his untimely death. We talk about how we could use these funds to go forward into a range of opportunities which Alex has described. We'll be investing the funds directly into local organisations that support young people into training and work, giving them a better future. Those young people might need support around training, they might need mental health support, they might need help to have confidence to gain employment. They may have had not an easy time at school and an easy time at the early stage of their careers. And what we're seeking to do is to use the funds to specifically invest around the support that they require. So we're raising those funds over the next year. And as I say, this is a fund that will go forward for the next 10 years. Each year we'll be building on this Day of Hope that Gary and Richard have talked about in memory of Damilola. We will be building an arrangement with any of our investors that we link into them directly. We tell them what we're about, and any funds that they seek to donate will be directly explained to them what they're going towards, who they're going towards, and how they will benefit young people. We have a management team of 6 of us. We're all independent, but we've worked in this sector. We've worked in a range of youth-based and business-based worlds, so that we're actually able to channel those funds directly into organisations that support young people. So that's the aim of it. there will be a way of getting in touch with us. You can do that through your Lysis contact, or you can do that directly through the Damilola Taylor Trust to Richard. We will be providing a point of contact, which I'm sure you'll be able to pick up through Lysis. So unless there's any questions, I'll leave it there, because it might be easier for me to sort of address your specific queries.
Thank you, Lee. That was a lot of detail, and actually I was definitely much better informed in terms of how other companies can get involved and how the fund works. Obviously, I know we've had some material to read, but I definitely do appreciate that, and that's given a lot more insight. I've checked the questions, the Q&A box, and we don't have any at the moment, but I wanted to ask, Lee, I think I'm very much thinking about like, as you mentioned, the current situation that we're in now, and that massive, the fact that there's going to be a lot of young people and adults too, who are disproportionately, what would you call, they're essentially at a disadvantage, in a sense. And but where they may have a disadvantage in one side, there are advantages in others. And I know that in terms of the other organizations that you mentioned that you'll be working with, and Hope 2020 will be working with, do you think that those organizations, or some of that in terms of the money that's going towards those funds, do you think that those organizations are ready to kind of address those issues? So it could be, I think maybe the main one that we have two big ones, and we have the mental health of young people at this time, and then we have actual resources, a mouse, a laptop. A lot of work is going to be from home and working from home. And in terms of, working in Barclays or wherever it may be, I'm currently, as you can see, at home. And, small things like Zoom training, which I might need, and other things. Do you find that some of these organizations might have to, I don't know, maybe change the way that they are approaching young people, training young people, or even bringing in other organizations that have that kind of expertise?
I do. You're right. The world of training and work is changing, and it's changing because of some of the issues around COVID-19, but it was changing anyway. And I think the way that we give young people skills for the future is also going to be changing. Many of the very specialist support organisations that we'll be funding through the donations we get already have a big developed plan around supporting people online. Mm-hmm. So there is a great opportunity for people to be given the support they need without necessarily, moving across London or coming to different offices. Of course, for some of the future employers, some of that work will, of course, as it has been, already available to people online. Technology is helping us make that possible. So the answer to the question, Shola, is the type of support that DTT and Lysis can offer can be done through online options. That support will continue. There is a lot of employment and training that can equally be done in that way. And we will of course, be making sure even some of the existing projects that are out there that we would fund go further in their development of online courses and projects. Ultimately, a lot of this is about personal support. You can always get hold of somebody through one of the projects we'll fund who will give you personal support. And of course, they can link into the employers. So, with technology, there is the future opportunity for training and employment, just as it was before. Of course, one of the implications behind what you asked is, what is the effect on disadvantaged or communities that are vulnerable already? Well, deeper and longer is my understanding. So what we're about is trying to get to those communities earlier to prevent those long-standing problems becoming deeper for the individual and the whole community. to give them that opportunity for training and work.
Thank you. Thank you, Lee. Well, it looks like we have one question. And I think someone might have addressed it earlier, but the question is, how can interested parties get in touch with the Damilola Taylor Trust or Hope 2020 Fund to find out more? I think Gary mentioned earlier going to, and actually he mentioned going to www.hope2020.uk, and I think you actually put a link in the chat section, Lee, of the same thing, but we will send that out to everyone else. If you want to get involved, you can also get involved via LinkedIn, or you can contact Lysis and we can also help you get involved in that too. Does anyone have any other questions in the panel? Is there anything that anyone would like to share on the panel before we say goodbye to everyone? Gary? Oh, yeah.
Hi, thank you, Shola. And thanks for that, Lee. That was, I think, a very, very good, very rounded background to the way the fund is going to be operated and set up. In answer to that question that you asked, Shola, and also I think just to touch on something that Lee kind of went into just a little bit there when you talked about the state of mental health. I think with what's happened with COVID, we need to remember there was a mental health crisis in our poorest communities long before COVID. And we don't know yet the extent to which COVID has worsened that situation. We look at what happened with the fiasco over exams and the amount of stress that young people were put through over that. We look at wealth disparity in this country and the fact that 4 out of 10 young people in London are living below the poverty line. Again, those stats were before COVID. That's only going to have got worse. So when you ask what can people do, well, they can certainly connect with the program, Hope, and celebrating young people who, against all the odds, like Alex, whose story today has totally enlightened this event, and I think without a shadow of a doubt was the hugest highlight of it. And I certainly want to be speaking to Alex directly in the not too distant future. I'm coming for you, Alex, but you know that because I've already messaged you privately. But they can also think about how they would like to engage directly with supporting the Damilola Taylor Trust going forward. The Damilola Taylor Trust will face huge challenges going into 2021, as all charities will. There's going to be less and less money available from central government, no matter what is said and what is pledged. That's just a fact of life. There is a big bill to pick up now with regard to the amount of money that the government has been investing in trying to fix this short-term problem. And it's always the poorest in society that suffer the worst when these kind of crises happen. So things are going to get worse for those most vulnerable. And as a result, they're going to need more help. So the Damilola Taylor Trust is going to be restructured going forward so that it's going to be robust enough to be able to take on those challenges. And that's one of the things the fund is being set up to do. So if anybody wants to help in any way, the Hope Collective is about celebrating young people. It's a very simple, generic campaign set up to honour the memory of Damilola. And Damilola's legacy needed and deserved to be one of hope. But going forward into 2021, it's going to be about the Damilola Taylor Trust and its work again. So anyone that wants to connect through the ways that you've suggested, please do. But I would ask all of you that are connected with the bigger corporate organisations, the big banks, Alex named a few of them there, they need to be thinking much more about the 3 letters CSR and actually start exercising much more of a fluid engagement in terms of the way they help to tackle these issues, because they are all of our issues. It has got to be a shared problem. Unless society steps up and tackles this problem, then it's only going to get worse. And so that's what I'd ask everybody to do, is not just to think about what you can do yourself, but think about what you can do to influence those around you. And the big corporates can do an awful lot more than they've done today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Okay, so everyone, we have come to the end of our webinar. I would like to thank everyone who has attended. and obviously our panelists. So we have Richard, we have Lee, Gary, and Alex. I'd like to thank everyone and thank the team who helped us set this up. Please remember that if you do want to get in touch or you want to, have a look at the website and see what else you can do. So on top of what Gary said, if you go again on www.hope2020.co.uk or rather .uk, we have on the link there, .uk. You can click and see what else is going on, guys. Again, I'm Shola Ali Arwa Shakila, and thank you very much for attending this webinar.